If you are Gen Z or have Gen Z brain, you must watch this video. Previously, let me introduce myself. My name is Abdul Latif from the Information Technology Education Study Program, Tasikmalaya Muhammadiyah University. As already discussed at the beginning, I will tell you about Generation Z. Well, let's get straight to the discussion. Why do I feel that this generation is one of the generation that I think is problematic in terms of work, loyalty, mental health, burnout, needing healing, drama seekers, and more. And the irony is that you need perspective. Why? It's not Gen Z fault. I want to start from this one saying, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. Start, start the cycle again. The question is, are Gen Z weak men? In a cycle where the previous generation has created all the good things, instant salutation, everything is available, you can choose, information is easy, which make generation Z very wasteful. This is my personal opinion. The simple way they explain Gen Z to other Gens. Gen Z is scattered. They have their own stance because they have all the freedom they can get. They have all the choice they can have. In the end, I see civilization that is all searching, creating this most lonely generation, even though they are the smartest. It's more important to be happy than to work on something they don't want to do. And I think this is quite dangerous unless the cycle is that the world has to adapt to Gen Z, which I don't agree with here. If we talk about previous generation from boomers to Gen X, all the statistics show that they are more resilient. They are more persistent and can last longer if there is a problem. The question is, what kind of people do we need now? Which I don't think are all bad, because this free-thinking or freedom can be the seed of entrepreneurs, not people we just follow the system. But if the individualism manifests into something worse, there will be not unity. That's the main problem, and actually the solution is only one. Let's talk about the really first, because one facts a search for some oldest research and survey from around the world, because not all of them I can pin in the Indonesian sample. Maybe we start with the worst thing about Gen Z and full disclaimer. This is not all Gen Z in Indonesia, but in repression the majority. Chapter 1, Gen Z. We start looking at what represents the majority of Earth's activities, which is work. If we talk about employers of company, if they have to push people, 65% say they would rather per Gen Z. And there even another study, one of 8 Gen Z resigned a week after being hired. Maybe it's because I don't like to work. Maybe it's more worth it for me to be happy. I haven't upon even received my first month salary yet. And let's be honest, the previous generation didn't have anything like that, or very few. By the way, I'll explain in chapter 2 why Gen Z is like this, and I don't think it's your fault. Well, employer, and this is the whole world, feel the Gen Z is difficult to understand. What do you want? You're paid here to do my job. Why do you demand other things? Some say their work ethic is lacking. It just not forget because living in everything is instant. Everything can be given. You ask for it now, isn't done. Can that effort or small? But their demands are big. I want to work it for example, I get this. And much more pressure. I'd rather be unemployed than I work something that makes me unhappy. More precisely, that survey said 41%. Secondly, we discussed the financial aspect before we discuss mental health. In America, there is a new trend called self-shaping. Anyway, younger people today don't want to save money. They want to spend their money in experience or think for self-development rather than long-term investment. This is data from America. The portion of young people saving has dropped to 3.9%, whereas the average is 8.5%. That was a few years earlier. I think this is the instant gratification factor. Because everything is instant, they don't want to save for the long terms. Even though there are many long term assets that can be withdrawn at any time, like investment, but investment only represents one of the problems because it thinks kind of behavior continue and can be carried over to the next generation. We will be mostly a generation that choose one instant gratification, want to be rich now and can maintain their wealth. The sad thing will be the next generation. The next thing I want to talk about is mental health. There are those who say that Gen Z is weak. Surveys show that 1 in 3 people have mental health problems, and if based on the data, Gen Z is indeed weaker, around 18%, millennial or 13%, Gen X 11%, and boomers 6%. According to survey, 59% of Gen Z in Indonesia feel they have a mental health disorder. Millennial 29% and Gen X 24%. But but if we look at the fact according to some survey and data that I found, yes, Gen Z is more we use the polite language trick and a repeat is not your phone. If we tell you why in chapter 2, so all the threats that I told you about earlier are based on one word, freedom. You, Gen Z, are the generation that has the most freedom to do anything. Freedom to sort out information, access to product or service, sort of ideologies. Just friend, you get all kinds of freedom, which is actually a double-edged knife if you don't interpret it well. I sorted this out from several other channel platforms. There is one angle that I find interesting. Why is it that such rapid technological development? Yes, it makes human life more efficient, but creates people who are much weaker. Because of truth of we say the era of postmodernism. So if summarize is simple. Premodernism focuses in religion. We have a whole generation that is invited to believe in one big thing. So everything is moving together. One, they're actually not confusion. What should I do and where should I go? Which one is right? Which one is wrong? Modernism era where science and industry have started to rise. The belief perhaps changed somewhat. What was originally religion contract now looks the science or science as a way to prove that there are answers that we don't understand. and, and that can be proven by science. Her people believe have started to widen. While postmodernism comes with the rise of digital, this time is no longer a matter of who believes wrong, but which information influence you to what you believe. So you could say that Gen Z is the generation whose direction is probably the most unclear, because they are exposed to so much information from birth. They are the most critical. The question what I should believe, which friendship are right, which ones are wrong. At the end of the way, yes, this is a way for me to make it easy to explain. Imagine there are 100 people in a room. The previous generation was simple. Oh, through this door. Everyone goes through this one door. If the current generation, with so much access and influence on information, everyone goes in their own direction, the impact is actually when unity is needed, or a strong reason for everyone to contribute to one reason. Can you back to company, for example? The company has one goal, but if 19% of the employees are Gen Z, please do this because the goal is here. No, I want to do this, and that's consistent to everyone. That will be a problem. We've been given the blueprint to build what, which is consistent long-term saving. Everyone has their own opinion. No, I think this is more important. Why save for the long term? I'd rather be happy now. And this belief is very diverse. The most powerful weapon is, for example, you talk about being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs generally hope to have their own belief, with some tests may some counter currents compared to other people. But the reality of life is not like that. There are moments where we have to have evidence to follow one system or one direction, because we can do great things if we're all defeated. And that the reality with Gen Z, that when I try to understand from the perspective, is actually not Gen Z fault, because the situation and environment permanent from the previous generation opened a platform for you to be free. But free doesn't mean defeated. Do you see the difference here? And in my opinion, is, for example, the style errors to the principle of weak men create hard times later. It means that the next generation will be it. This is why the generation above me is defeated. Will be the strong generation, although the burden may be heavy. The question, the solution, in my opinion, is one. There no way we can withstand a new civilization or like the acceleration of technology, and order is getting more and more instant. Only in chapter 3, which I think is the solution, namely intergenerational learning. There are things that I feel like the younger generation is really insistent. I believe what I believe. This is not your team, bro. Everyone thought you're not now learning work. Everyone thought the old way don't necessarily apply to the new way or the new world. They are value the actually lost forever because they live a longer life. The values of passion never give up, because people who have lived 14 years, they know something that you don't know. Intergenerational learning is how we build in every mountain work project. Organization, companies that have different generation Z, millennial, X, boomer, don't create barrier. This is my way. This is your way. But how to work together, because there are always values that are passed down where the generations are not too divided. One of the most basic honors that I think is missing in the youngest generation. The majority of them that the value of position. Honestly, we are impatient people. We are used to everything being a click away. Instant it is basic things. For example, like investing. Investing can be impatient. The more rushed you are, the more wrong you are. But the situation that makes you like now. But I have a saying, it will ourselves don't realize what we did wrong and what caused the situation. We won't be able to pin a solution. Ideally, the youngest generation should start learning the value of the older generation that's made the current environment so beautiful for you. And yes, I understand. There pressure from above, pressure from below to be like Gen Z already has everything. Why don't you perform? Comparing information the other that should exist in previous generation. It makes you more anxious, more stressed. But yes, it all comes at a price. The question is or what is because in some advice for Gen Z to start humbling and learning the value of previous generation is to actually detect from the situation that makes you flooded with information in this postmodern era and go back to your roots. Although it doesn't have to be forever because the digital era cannot be stopped, but at least realize the traits of being an individualist are not always good. That's what makes you lonely and the impression that you are always excluded from other generation. Hopefully this help give perspective because the hope is great for Gen Z, which is now 13% of Earth's population. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Is apologies if there are mistakes in the pronunciation of words and language because I'm still learning. See you next time. Bye bye.